Your turn to pick.
Less domination among the things you've been waiting for. Headed to the top if we make it there, we'll be taking more. There's no I in team, but something I guarantee is when you look into my eyes, it's determination you see. It goes without implication, innovation is at our eyes. So take a walk with a boss first, pick on flip side.
Welcome everybody, episode 5 of First Pick, episode 5 if you will. We made it this far, out of a month now, believe it or not. This week, no Mania. Mania had to work. Turns out podcasting does not pay his bills, so he picked up 2 shifts. So no Mania this week, hopefully he'll be back next week. So yeah, you're stuck with these 2 guys standing in today. Thank you fellas for being here. First one, Cyborgmatt, the World Traveler. How's it been going, Matt?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. It's been going pretty good. I mean, I've been just recently got back from Poland, which is quite a trip.
You've been like how many places in the past month?
I was in Columbus. I got stuck in Columbus, and then traveled through Philadelphia. You know, a few different places. But I mean, that's the case. Unfortunately, I missed DreamHack because I was stuck in Columbus there was a winter storm. And I was unable to fly back home, so I missed DreamHack. So it could have been worse. And a lot of the teams are experiencing kind of similar travel as well. You know, there's kind of like this train that never stops. But you know, we have Starladder in January and potentially Las Vegas. So for some teams, there's a lot of traveling on the board.
Oh, there's tons of traveling. I mean, we have more events now than we did, you know, ever almost, and they're all over the place. But it's cool to see North America get some love. I mean, kind of don't have much out here, so it's cool to get, you know, MLG, and then now we got D2L taking place in Vegas, so that kind of stuff is exciting for me being here in the US. And then also the other guest this week, Luminous, and his panda in the background. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. It's a weekend, and that's where all my esports are coming up, so I'm just like trying to follow everything as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I don't have much time. So
what are you following right now? How many?
So there's a Smash event going on right now. I'm a big fan of Melee.
Okay.
I used to play it semi-competitively. Obviously, Dota is always going on, and then there's also Magic Gathering, which there's also events always happening. So,
yep.
I'm like, man, I need to follow everything, and it's hard to.
No, I feel your pain. That's when something like what used to be called War Prism, and I think it's what T-Vox or something now, and I think there's multi-Twitch, so you can get
multi-Twitch.
Get like 4 or 5 things. I know I always get like StarCraft, Magic, Dota, and then some kind of whatever else, just all thrown in there, like you know. 4 screen it, and that's always really, really nice. So thank you guys for coming on, greatly appreciated. Manny will be back next week, like I said. So let's dive in. Let's talk about the week that was. Things will be a little bit different this week. So, you know, past episodes we wanted to talk more about like drafts and gameplay and like all that kind of stuff. This week we had a huge patch, a whole bunch of different shit going on. So I thought it'd be perfect to have Matt here since he is the master patch analyzer, I guess if that's a word. And so we can probably talk most of the time. Now. Yeah, analyzer, so you can look it up. And so we'll talk probably a lot about that. But first, EMS. I know, Matt, you were there at EMS. How was that event for you?
So, from someone being at the venue, it was really enjoyable. It was a really nice, unique venue. It was in like an old brewery, so you had like a bar there, a restaurant. There was a secret shop there. You know, it's a very small, unique place. Like a lot of the fans there could meet the teams, and it was packed. It was crowded. Maybe not on the stream. You couldn't see that because you know there were a lot of people seating upstairs and stuff. But I know the majority of the complaints. I took a look at the Reddit thread whilst the event was ongoing, and no one was talking about the games. Everyone was just talking about the venue. Maybe they were spoiled by MLG, which was a huge venue. But in terms of this, it should be more of a case about the games and the fact that these games can be played in an offline tournament, which we need to be seeing more of, basically.
Yeah, sorry. That caught me off guard. I don't know. I got nothing witty, so sorry about that. Venue was in a brewery. I didn't realize that. Like, was that the first time they've done that, or has that happened before? It was
a new venue. Last time it was in part of the hotel complex. This one, I mean, this is the last time it'll be in Poland, which is kind of a shame, but they want to go bigger. So when you have to go bigger, you need to start looking at more Central Europe.
Right.
So we'll have to see what. I believe they have some really big plans for Dota 2 though. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean their support's they've been doing, I don't know, at least a year now, right? Of EMS events or the like
Yeah,
the
they did a
stuff.
full year worth of seasons. They tried to do 4, but in the end they only could fit 3 in. Scheduling Dota tournaments is super hard right now. There's like a real influx of tournaments. It's going to start getting to a stage where teams are going to start, needing to focus on picking more important tournaments rather than trying to play everything. Yes, on one hand the practice is good, but I mean if you have no time, no free time whatsoever, and you just like all these conflicts and everything, it pushes the tournaments to do better anyway. Come with bigger prize pools and more attractive. Fly the teams over, give them the travel funds and everything, which we are starting to see now with the like Star Ladder, that shooting up prize pool already over $100,000 and stuff. So
yeah,
it's good to see.
It's crazy cool. I mean, it's cool to see people come out and support it that much. I know, like, we're in this weird place. Like you said, there's so many, and teams need to pick and choose. But do you think we'll get to a place to where they'll be kind of like the premier big events for, like Na'Vi, Fnatic, Alliance, teams at the very top? And do you think we're going to see kind of more middle tournaments, I guess, pop up for kind of teams who aren't playing, maybe not necessarily like a tier 1 or a tier 2, but maybe like a tier 3 team who's like going to school or working full time as well as playing? Do you think tournaments like that can exist here sooner or later?
Yeah, you're already seeing that. Like, especially with Dota TV, there's a lot of tickets getting pushed through now. You have these very small amateur leagues, which are like maybe like region based. I know there's a Montenegro one that recently got in, and that's very intimate for their region. It's like a very small scale tournament for those amateur teams over there. And then you have stuck in like a bit bigger. You got like the Netolink League where you have like some of the lower tier teams playing like mouse sports and stuff. That's kind of.
I want to cast that league. Do you think they'll sign me up?
No.
I hear like
sure
you get to have a lot of fun. So
I'm pretty sure anyone, you just speak to Mark and he's like, yeah, as long as you're 95% serious, you can cast it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sign me up.
I'm actually feeling like we are already seeing a point where maybe teams are signing up for too much in terms of LAN events. Obviously, you want to go to every LAN possible, but like if we look at, I think StarCraft maybe 1 or 2 years ago, you have players that says, all right, well, I'm going to sit out the next 2 LANs to prepare for the big one down the road. So maybe that's what we're going to see. I think teams, as they're going into more and more LANs, like for example, Team Liquid, they had a soft showing at MLG. They didn't have time to play against anybody or practice to prepare, and then they show up to Dream League afterwards, and they have a soft showing again. So I actually don't think it's actually constructive for teams to go back to back to back. I know Na'Vi had 3 LANs in a row, MLG, Dream League, and then EMS One. So same thing on Alliance. So I mean, and if Fnatic. You're good, what's that?
And Fnatic as well, and plus Fnatic have to go to Las Vegas in January, and then they could potentially go to Star Ladder, so that's Kiev. So Fnatic's trip can turn into like a... But for them, I think Fnatic playing a lot of Dota is working for them. It's helping them, get better as a team.
Yeah, I think for certain teams, like Fnatic, obviously, who just did quite well at, EMS, it works out for them. But for some teams, maybe they need some screaming time or bouncing back. I guess right now, some teams are just can't maybe handle the traveling as much. And I think also for viewers, like, how do you follow all these tournaments? You just can't. Like, I personally like to watch every replay for major events, but you just can't. There's just way too much. So it's kind of sad.
Damn. That have you ever even been able to do that? Like in the past maybe like year? Like did you try and then just get like just overwhelmed after a little bit?
I mean, I personally watch every sorry for cutting. I watch like every tournament final I get a chance to.
Okay.
And then, I watch at least 3 or 4 replays a day, but lately it's just like, man, I don't really care about VP versus some other team in Star Ladders when I have to watch 3 tournament finals that I haven't been watching yet. So
yeah, see, I feel the same way. There's like, and a lot of times I don't almost like I mean to go back and watch a finals or watch an event, and I tell myself like, okay, I'm going to sit down. I have time on Sunday. I have 2 hours. I'm going to watch, this best of 5. But then I feel like on that day there's another tournament that's happening, and everybody's talking about it, and they're like, hey, what do you think about this game? Like I guess I have to watch that one, and then it's just over time you just forget to go back. I mean, do you think that is a good problem to have though in Dota?
I think it's a problem.
No, sorry, Lumi, go for it.
I think it's a good problem, but I think it's a problem that'll sort itself out as well.
Okay.
I think the scene will take care of it, and the tournaments will step up their game and start becoming more attractive to the teams, where it gets to the stage where teams have to pick what tournaments they want to go to. Like Lumi said, you know, we might sit these two out, but we'll go big for this one, and then it may pay off for us.
I always am very worried about unintended consequences. Like, for example, TI is a great tournament, and we talk about it. But to me, it feels like because TI is so big that all the teams are considering every other tournament as a semi-quote-unquote air-quote throwaway tournament compared to TI. Like, it don't matter if we don't win any of these tournaments as long as we win TI. So in terms of having an oversaturation of tournaments, I wonder if teams would take it as seriously. Like, 3 years ago, if you have 2 LANs a year, and those are the only 2 LANs you go to, you train your butt off. Now, maybe you're just there for the ride. I don't know. So
you could say that, but if you don't deliver throughout the year, then you can't say, you can't take your invite as granted. Like, you never know if you're gonna get an invite or not.
Yeah. So that's the thing, though. Like, you're gunning for TI, though, right? That's always the
yeah, definitely
the criticism, I guess. But yeah, I guess it's always a good problem to have, especially when there's too many matches to watch for viewers out there. I'm sure there are. Cyborgmatt, do you just follow every stream like yourself and try to catch all?
It's so hard. It's like today, it's like surprise Fragbite Masters are doing the finals. It's like I didn't even. It's so hard to keep track sometimes. I try and watch as many as possible, like you guys, but sometimes you have to just cherry pick replays and matches where you're still missing out on some good Dota. And there's so much, from Eastern and Western Dota. There's so much good Dota going on. It's we can't really complain, to be fair, but it's a good it's a good problem to have, I think.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4 years ago, where we had sorry to cut you off.
No, go for it.
3 or 4 years ago, we had very little online content, so it was all replay stuff, and you had people like me doing YouTube commentaries and things like that. And then when Dota 2 came out, we had nothing but online content, and it feels like we're probably gonna go to the full circle now, where there is so much online content where if you want to, I guess, follow Dota, you go back to the VODs and replays to catch the best content. When there's 25 matches every 2 days, you only want to watch the best 3, so I guess.
It's a pain in the ass, too, for the teams and for the players. I know, there's some of the players who play full-time, they can plan out their schedule a little bit more, but I know just helping out with, the old Flipside roster with Mania and Miguel and all them, and then, the Russian squad, it's hard because you have people, some people work, you have different times, you have this team, they can't play this day at this time, but they can play on this day, but then that interferes, with this team who's playing in a different tournament, and then you have some, some of the bigger teams like Alliance, Na'Vi, Fnatic, these kind of teams, where they're playing in, I'd say, most of the online, bigger cups, and so it's then you're, balancing this weird act among all of them on who can play when, and there's always this, hey, I'll trade you my time slot to play this game. It's not necessarily, I don't want to say it's a bad thing, because it is good. There's more money than ever, there's more games than ever, there's more opportunity for players than ever, but also it's turning into this weird area to where the teams on top are full-time Dota players. They can make all these tournaments, they can play full-time, make the money. The people in that middle ground are kind of maybe they might have to work a shift and not make a match if they play the stand-ins. That might hurt their chances to make the money, which then might hurt them from going professional, I guess, or playing full-time. It's just this weird cycle to where I don't want to say it's bad or good, but it's just interesting from an outsider looking in. It's very interesting on a player's end on what they have to go through to make all these events work and just juggle them. I know we're tangenting a lot, but Lumi, I know you said you followed StarCraft a bit. Do you think we'll see something kind of like what happened to StarCraft in 2011, 2010, 2011, 2012? We saw tons and tons of tournaments. I kind of felt the same that it is right now with Dota, but then we kind of saw consolidation over time. You had the GSL in Korea, you had kind of the stuff going on DreamHack in Europe, we had MLG in North America, and it kind of consolidated into those, and then Blizzard stepped in and ruined it all with WCS. But do you think we're going to see some kind of consolidation, not from Valve, but just over time that the cream will rise to the top? These will be the premier events the premier teams play in, and then that is that?
I certainly hope not, considering for example, at League of Legends you have LCS, where you have, I guess, 8 teams in North America, and they duke it out, and then the talent just stays within those 8 teams. You don't have that new blood coming in, And I think that's what happened in China for the last couple of years, where you have, you could count the top teams in one hand, and suddenly this year they have a lot more amateur events, and I think that really helps the scene overall. So hopefully it doesn't get that way, but I think for the sake of, for example, more sponsorship exposure, like if your team gets to play a match versus your team rescheduling their matches 4 times, like for D2L, it's always a nightmare to reschedule matches, and like the nightmare you talk about, time swapping slots and stuff like that. I think for like more professionalism or your sponsors getting their ad time, I think that's better. But for players and for fans of the game, myself, I think I don't ever want to see a big league controlling, here are all the games for today and that's it.
Yeah, and then you get stuff like, we got last week with Riot kind of saying that you can't stream these games and that whole drama saga.
I actually think that's quite reasonable. But
I think it is reasonable, but I'd say like 90% of the population out there did not think it was reasonable and, go straight to Reddit.
Well, the main complaint was that you couldn't do this in your free time. It was a flat-out ban. It was a flat-out blanket ban on the titles. I could understand this. It's like, you don't stream this alongside our tournaments or League of Legends, but a flat-out ban, it seems a bit too harsh.
Maybe a little bit.
And it does seem to go very against what Riot said they were starting off doing as a company.
I don't think you have to believe what they said, though. I mean, they're making tons of money. They're paying these players' salary. They're paying their housing. They're like, without Riot, who knows where League of Legends esports seem to be at. So now we're really tangenting. But I think that as the employer, they have the right to do it. I mean, we see the same thing happen with like MLB, NFL, like all this kind of stuff. Like this past week, MLB passed a rule that, I don't know, you guys, I don't know, I'm probably going off topic. Frost's not here to reminisce to me about sports. But so MLB passed the rule that players could no longer run over the catcher at home plate. They have to kind of avoid the collision and either slide around him and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's in their right because they're the organizer. They can make the rules and they can set it. And a lot of times contracts for players are like, hey, you can't go snowboarding. You can't do this kind of stuff because you're going to get hurt. And so it's like, I don't know. I kind of see where Riot's coming from, even though it is kind of shitty and it's a new space because streaming is different than playing a sport professionally. But I don't know. It's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I'm with Finch here. I mean, there's nobody telling me that I can't stream a League of Legends, but, I'm not going to stream League of Legends for some obvious reasons. I'll play League of Legends because, I enjoy playing with my friends, but it's the same thing there, I think. Especially if LCS is paying your big bills, like, part of your monthly salaries there, I think they have some leverage to say, hey, we don't want you to advertise for a direct competitor. Whether the Dota community likes that or not, I think it's a reasonable business decision on Riot's end, I suppose.
Matt, do you have anything to weigh in on this?
I have a pretty strong opinion. I don't like.
Let's hear it.
It feels very like, I don't like the ownership of someone like that. It feels very wrong to me. I know it works in conventional sports, but we should be striving for something different than that. It's like if these players don't continue their contracts, they're immediately dropped and replaced. They're treated like almost like nothing. Like, we can replace you in a heartbeat, sort of thing. And that's the kind of attitude I don't like. And as a company, I know it's just words and everything, but it's very against what they started off. Their aims and goals. We should be at this moment in time, with esports, we should all be trying to improve it across the board. When we do get huge, big like these sports, then we can start looking at locking down, exclusives and stuff. But for the moment, we should be. Every game should help each other. We should all schedule around each other and everything like that, as best we can.
Yeah, it's like a brave new world out here. This is kind of such a unique thing that's just kind of blown up over the last couple of years. So who knows where it's going to go and what's going to happen? Let's drive the ship back to on track. EMS was a good event. The finals were good. Anything else? Any final thoughts? Lumi, did you watch those games? Do you have anything particular you want to bring up on those?
I definitely watch. I follow Vici exclusively. I guess they went through the whole tournament, so I watched most of it. I'm surprised that Navi kept giving Fnatic Wisp and allowed them to do because that's what Fnatic ran for 3 tournaments in a row. I thought let's ban the Wisp, let's
get rid of it,
get rid of it and go. But things happened and Fnatic made it to the finals. But yeah, it was a good tournament. I don't think there was any noteworthy game. I think there was a semi-final match. It was like Vici versus Alliance, Game 3. That was pretty exceptional. Like, it went 1 hour and something. But I think the finals was pretty much one-sided for the most part.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. For being such a good event, the finals, I mean, granted, Fnatic did win the first game, but then after that, Vici kind of just took over and ran away with it. Bringing it back to Wisp, though, real fast.
Well,
Wisp.
I was just going to say Fnatic
Damn it, Matt.
just keep struggling at that final hurdle, which is a shame. They really do deserve a tournament win right now.
They'll get it.
And they're getting so close. They're getting so close.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of those things, though. If they're in it every time, that's a good experience, and it all is going to snowball. But real quick, Lumi, about the Wisp thing. You said Fnatic run the Wisp a lot, very successfully, and they play it well. Do you think, what do you think is the difference between them and other teams? Because we don't really see Wisp all that often anymore, other than when they're playing.
Yeah, I think DK also run it from time to time. I think we saw a bit of that from MLG. I don't know. I feel like a lot of times heroes are just ignored, and like there's great heroes in the pool. For example, Wisp is a perfect example right now where he or she is very powerful, but
he or she,
or it, I guess.
Yeah.
But teams just ignore it. I don't actually know if they do anything particularly better. I'm sure if Alliance and Na'Vi and train for the Wisp, like for months and months, they would pull out the same efficiency with those type of heroes. I guess they're just practicing it more than any other team, and believing that hero more than any other team.
Yeah, it's interesting. I love watching Tiny Wisp or CK Wisp. I mean, whatever it is, I think Wisp just makes games more exciting.
Yeah.
Matt, do you have any final thoughts before we move on?
Yeah, just that I mean, Wisp is one very effective hero for Fnatic, but I think they're doing really well with the whole large pool of heroes right now. It's why they're doing so well on 6.79, and it's good seeing. It's why I think Alliance is struggling a bit, because teams have been been able to ban against Alliance really strong, and you saw that really evident at MLG. Most of the teams were just saying, well, it's just so predictable. It's getting a bit too easy for us now, but it's good. They do deserve a win.
I think too, it's cool.
They will get one.
It's cool to have another team up there with Alliance and Na'Vi. For a while, it was kind of like Alliance and Na'Vi over and over again, and that was a great rivalry. But it's cool now to kind of see that Fnatic's kind of thrown into that mix. I mean, what do you think would be the next team? Kind of like the fourth team would be DK or VG?
No, well, if we're sticking to just Western, I still think it's Na'Vi, Fnatic, Speed Gaming, Alliance. It's just a shame that Speed Gaming's left. It's just a shame that Speed Gaming's now left the scene, because it's kind of like, okay, but they are kicking ass in China, so it's not too bad, and it's good experience for them, I suppose.
I was hoping Team Liquid would kind of step it up to answer your question, but it seems like they are the team that's always struggling on LAN, like more than any other top tier team. They win online tournaments like it's easy, and then they show up on LAN, and either a person doesn't have a good weekend. Like I know Fluff, for example, felt like he had a very weak showing at MLG, and the team did not operate as well, for example, there. And other cases, you have another player perhaps not doing well. So I think Team Liquid really needs a LAN win, if we're talking about teams that needs LAN win as well.
Okay. Well, what do you think, Lumi, about Team Liquid in general? I mean, we're just going to keep rolling with the tangents. So, like, they had that crazy winning streak. They won something like, it was like 16 in a row or something like that, and like online.
I think it's like 20 something in a row.
Going into MLG, and then just had a bad showing, and then they went to Dream League after that. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it is just LAN, or do you think there's something else going on with that roster?
So actually at MLG, I had the opportunity to talk with a lot of players, which is something new for me. Like a lot of times when I go to LAN events, I just mostly focus on casting, getting rest, things like that. But at MLG, I had the chance to talk with players, and the thing that I kind of collected from them is all about mentality. Like you come into a tournament, being on a 20 win streak. If you're scared, you're not going to win a tournament. Whereas talking with, for example, Envy, when he won his first DreamHack, they walked around with no tie hunter. They walked around the entire tournament saying, all right, when we win DreamHack, here's what we're going to do. So it's that kind of mentality. Speed Gaming went, day 1-0-3. They're like, no problem. We're going to win this thing still. So I think it's all about mindset and everything else. So perhaps that's something that will come with experience. Team Liquid is, they've been around for a long time, but considering they're still quite young, with like Koifa is what 17, 18. Some of the players are just still like in their early 20s. So, you know, with time and experience and mental fortitude, I suppose that's the most important part, I think.
And MLG really hurt them. I don't think, I might be wrong, but I don't think they've won a single game since MLG in terms of big tier tournaments like the Dota 2 Champions League and Dream League and D2L. They lost as well to Fnatic. It's had quite a big impact on the team. And if you watch them play, it's like they're almost trying to. It seems like they're trying to mirror a lot of the top tier teams. You know, trying to recreate what they're doing right now, and it's just not working for them. And I've seen them trying to run a lot of tri lanes, and the tri lanes has just really not been working for them in 6.79. So it's just a case. I think they need to bounce back. You know, take a fresh approach at things and see if they can fix the issues there.
Yeah, Team Liquid always gets hot on the wrong times. Like they get hot going into big tournaments and then don't do well there. I think was it the first team that Fluff was in Fire, and then they became Complexity, right? Mm-hmm. They went into TI2 with like 90% win rate or something like that, something ridiculous, and then you know they got knocked down in 2 rounds. So hopefully, again, maybe it's a mentality thing. Maybe they're just not sure of themselves. I don't know. But they need a win.
Yeah, I mean, mentality is such a big part of just competition in general. So hopefully it is not kind of a confidence thing for them, because they've proven that they are a good team, they're a good group of guys, and that they do have the potential. I mean, it's just maybe they just need to get over that hump. They need like one big win on LAN, and then they're just gonna kind of roll from there. We'll have to kind of wait and see. Let's move on. And talk about the patch, because I don't know how long that's going to be, and I don't want this to be another 3-hour episode like we had last time with when Vitas and Matt were here. Matt, since you are the patch master, I guess is for the lack of a better term, where do you want to start? You pick.
With the hero, I guess, Legion Commander.
Okay. All right, we'll start with her.
So it's been a long time coming. Legion Commander is here now.
Like 6 months coming, it feels like.
Yeah, it's been a while, but her model now supports 2-handed weapons, 1-handed weapons. She's got an Arcana set out the door. She looks awesome, really nice animations, good voice work, effects, and she's a really fun hero. I don't know if you had a chance to play her, but she's she's really fun.
I just messed around her a little bit. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where everybody just insta-picks her, so she's new and she's fresh, so everyone wants to play all the time. So it's like, all right, you guys play her. I'll play her in a bot game. Lumi, did you play her much back in, I guess him, back in Dota 1?
Yeah, actually, I had a chance to play him, but back in when he came out in Dota 1, like most of the good players left. Okay. So it was kind of me beating scrubs, for the lack of better words, in like top games, and it wasn't like, yeah, he can dominate games quite easily, and it seems like you could jungle him with his passive. Seems like you could kind of just play him as a one-row carry, play him mid. I don't think we really know for sure until this hero will be out for 3-4 years, and I'm not even exaggerating, because teams and heroes are just rediscovered every time, right? Like, just 3 weeks ago, we saw Blink Dagger on Clinks, and now apparently that's the new way to play him, and that's the correct way to play him. Who knows what's going to happen in 3 years with Legion Commander? So for people out there that are anxious to write guides, hold your horses. We don't really know how the hero's supposed to be played until, I guess, professionals take a stab at him. But yeah, he's really, really fun. I gotta say that.
I mean, on paper, Tristan, he seems really versatile. Like Lemmy said, mid or jungle or anything like that. Yeah. But it does take time. And the Klink's Blink Dagger thing, that's just Sama. Like, what did you see that guy? Yeah. He's always like theory crafting, like all the time. He non-stop. That's all they think about is Dota. And they do some, like, at MLG we saw like the 50-minute bottle so it could grab a DD rune. And then just completely destroy them and win the game. We saw Klink sending him back so he could run in there, get the racks, and we saw some really, like, all of that is pretty much Sama at work. And a lot of the players have a huge amount of respect for that, because he is, making these new discoveries, and they're working really well.
Yeah. Yep. It's cool to see people think outside the box like that. I know at first it was like, I think the first game, I don't remember exactly, but it didn't work, and it was just like, Blink Dagger on Clinks, that seems like an awful idea. And then you tried it again, and it was like, oh god, this is going to go bad too. But then it worked. So it's like, that makes kind of, I don't know, I guess that works. It just kind of, I like when people think outside the box like that and try some different stuff and just break the mold. As far as like the Arcana set for Legion Commander, Matt, do you think we're going to see more Arcana sets in the future?
For heroes coming out the door, no, not usually.
Okay.
Not straight away. Maybe later down the line, heroes. But with a new hero releasing at Arcana at the same time, I mean that's like a one-time deal. It depends how successful it is. If it's really successful, then maybe we will see it happen. But in terms of Legion Commander, it was just a way that she now has 2 sets of animations. She has a single weapon set and a dual animation set. So doing that gives them gives the workshop artists like a huge possibilities now of what they can make for her. It's pretty large. So and it all depends on how most things that they'll do are just experimental. If they work well, then they'll do it.
Do you think there's any
like this Frostbus sale?
Oh, finish your thought.
Yeah, like this Frostbus sale, like huge numbers, like 75% off most of the sets and everything, and they know from past experience with Steam sales that as soon as you put a crazy amount off something, it'll sell like crazy. So it's just experiments. It's just experiments, basically.
I was gonna say, do you think there was a chance that when she was in the works for a long time, do you think there was kind of a dispute if they wanted to make her like a one-handed weapon or a two-handed weapon, and they just said like, hell, we have both of these things ready, let's just make an Arcana set?
Yeah, I mean that's the case. They wanted to do something really unique with her, and in order to bring both animation sets into the game, they just decided to go down the Arcana route. So yeah, that's kind of one reason why she maybe was in development for quite a while. But I mean, it's not like if no one's working on that, then obviously they're working on other things. And we saw the Free Spirit updates. That took priority over Legion Commander. But it's the way they do it. They get around to it. And there's a lot of heroes in work now. There's a lot of heroes being worked on right now.
We're getting close. We're getting close to the end, right? There's like a tunnel.
Yeah.
The end in sight.
Not many to go now.
No, it's kind of crazy to think.
More now that Ice Frog added Monkey King to Dota 1, but we'll get there eventually.
All right, maybe one of these days. Lumi, are you buying these Arcana sets? Do you have $35 laying around?
I do, and I'm very tempted to buy it.
Okay.
But I think it was a horrible idea to release Arcana set right next to the same hero, because nobody even know what her lines are. And nobody knows what's her animation, and then you're changing her animation. I think for maybe, like, let's say you're a brand new Dota player, and you show up to your first Dota game, and you see, like, Legion Commander. You're like, all right, I'll play that hero. And the next, you see the hero playing against you. And the next game, you see Legion Commander, but she has a completely different animation or skill set, and you're like, what the hell is going on? So, I don't know. I actually think it's quite cool. Like, for example, League of Legends, all of the heroes have, like, different skins and stuff, and different animation. I think that's pretty cool, but perhaps that's going way over the boundary. I like to have maybe 1 or 2 Arcana set per hero, but that's, I guess, asking for a lot as well. So I don't know. Yeah. I'm all for Arcana sets, but maybe not right when the heroes are released.
I think it's interesting too, because with the Lena one, they kind of just made her hair on fire, and they kind of particleized her abilities.
Particle effects, animations, and the whole model.
But
the eyes change,
right? You could still. It was pretty close.
The model doesn't change itself. It's mainly just the base skin that changes, which is very similar on Trecedent.
Is it really? Because I mean, they're different colors. I mean, you go from one weapon to two
like
weapons.
the main color comes from her base skin. Like her face changes and her base armor change, but all her pieces that are bolted on, like the helmet and the shoulders and everything, they're all the same. They just have like an ambient effect on them.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see how it goes, how she plays out. Lumi, do you think there's any shot we see her in Captain's Mode in the next 3 months, 6 months?
Probably not in the next 3 months, right? Generally, it takes quite a bit of time for balances. So, I mean, we're not going to see her before Earth Spirit, I imagine, or maybe around the same time as Earth Spirit.
Guy's scary.
Holy crap.
Holy crap. Let's talk about Captain's Mode. Slark, Huskar. Lumi, about those two, which one do you think has more impact?
So we already saw Slark in, I think, middle of last year. I think in Alliance as well as Team Liquid's trip to China. I forgot what that tournament's called. The G League? G1 League? G1 League, yeah, where Alliance won the whole thing. Team Liquid was busting out Slark all the time, and they were winning a lot of games with it. And the majority of the reason that they picked Slark was for pounds as well as Dark Pack. They leaned against a Bat Rider, so that's kind of the thing there for that tournament. The big changes to Slark obviously is his ultimate. I actually think he is going to be fully capable of being in the CMO, because there's no real way you could deal with him anymore. Like, you drop a sentry and he's still hitting you. You're like, what's going on? So either we're going to see teams picking up more AoE disables, like LSA from Lina, to kind of just stun the whole area, or you are just going to get hit by a Slark. So the fact that Slark was already in a competitive pool and was already picked by one of the top tier teams makes me think that he's at least going to get tried out, and I highly think that he's going to be there, because the ability to reward good play by dodging stuns is insane. So I think he's definitely a viable pick.
And what about Husker?
So, go on, sorry.
Oh,
I think Husker sucks.
I was just
Husker sucks. All right, sum it up.
So, Slark, he's only been in Caps mode a very short period. He's already been picked 10 times, and he's won 9 games and lost 1.
There you go.
It's good stats.
Whereas Husker's like 2 games and it's like 1-1 or something. I don't know. Who cares about Husker?
Well, last night, MVP ran it. It was like the MVP versus MVP match for the next league.
So,
they did Dazzle Husker. They lost, but...
Yeah.
So that was the one?
Slark has much more impact in the hero pool than Husker by far, and I think Slark's going to be a pretty important pickup across multiple lineups, and he's already doing really well. I mean, it's early doors, yeah, but to go 9-1 in like a day or two,
I mean,
pretty good.
I didn't think
when there's like a 9-1 stats like that, I always don't read too much into it, considering the fact that the hero just came out.
Early. It's still very early.
Yeah, like maybe just teams just don't know how to deal with it. So that's fine.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Maybe, but he seems like such a versatile hero. I mean, we saw I think 1 or 2 games, like, or in the past we've seen him play mid. I think Miggle played him mid a couple times, especially in like TI3 qualifiers. He played Slark mid with phase boots, and that kind of became a cool thing for a little bit. But then we saw earlier, like today, we saw Slark playing as kind of like the one role type hero. We saw him playing in tri-lane. We saw him, like, it seems like he's kind of slowly going towards being a more carry-oriented hero, but he seems like he can kind of fit into all sorts of roles. So, I don't know. Interesting.
And that's kind of 6.79 in a nutshell. You're getting a lot of heroes coming into the pool. Yeah, which is cool. I really like it. It's nice.
Do ya? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm still on the fence. It's fun. It's crazy. But
you want to go back to Kotal PL, or you want to go back to Morphling all day? Like, what do you want? You want 6.79, or do you want some repetitive bullshit like that?
All right, Finch. Let me also ask you some rhetorical questions. Do you want to see a carry hero being picked, and then like no matter what the next 4 heroes being picked, you know exactly what he's going to do for the next 50 minutes? Or
just
do you want a bounty hunter being picked? They're like, well, I don't know if he's going to offlane or go into enemy jungle as a support and start harassing. Like, I think having the different versatility of all these heroes. I think that's one of the big common theme of a a hero that's commonly picked nowadays. You can't just do one thing. You have to have the ability to do many things. And I think we talked about Legion Commander earlier having that versatility. For example, Timbersaw, sometimes could go mid, sometimes go off lane. And now with this hero that we're talking about, Slark, we talked about mid. I think he could even off lane with Pounce and Dark Pact.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I think having that kind of versatility makes the game much more fun to watch and makes a hero inherently much more powerful to play with. So can't wait to see how teams kind of figure out and finalize this hero.
You don't miss Spectre at all?
No.
I love Spectre. Maybe that's my own
They
fault.
actually play Spectre like an early game ganker now. That's fun to watch, I guess. Like at level 6, he just started haunting and killing stuff. That's not bad, I guess.
Something different. Okay, so we'll rephrase that. 6.79 is fun, except it's Midas and Necrobooks. So we see with this patch, we see the Midas changed a little bit. We got the recipe increased. Matt, why don't you go first on this one? Is 150 gold enough to justify not going Midas every single game all the time?
Yeah, I think it's going to help. I think anything higher, it may add more damaging effect. I'd rather they just kind of like remove Midas. That was my pitch.
Okay, so why? Why do you think we should remove Midas?
The artificial experience and gold was just, I don't know. It wasn't. I'd maybe change the mechanic on it. I was mulling around ideas in my head of like coming up with reasons why supports, coming up with a reason to make it so supports wouldn't buy it anymore. I mean, the reason it's so effective is because like someone on CM, you would go in the jungle, Midas the big creep, and then kill the rest of the camp, and you get like almost 2 levels in the space of 30 seconds or so. So I thought about maybe making it a passive where it's on the next creep you kill, you get the 190 gold or something. So it would you'd have to kill the full creep before you got the gold. I don't know. I'd rather just remove it, but it's in a better place. I mean, in the Fragbite Masters finals, we saw 5 Necrobucks from Alliance, and I think Necro Gaming is a lot more horrible than Midas Gaming. I take Midas Gaming over that any day of the week.
So what would you do to change Necro Gaming? Would you remove that as well?
No, it's the pure damage. I think is the big issue there. Like when you're dealing with so many books on the don't forget that like they're really expensive. So it's not going to be a really common occurrence. They are really expensive, and you need to get up to like level 2, 3 before you really start bowling with a book. But when you're dealing with like an army of them, and there's so much pure damage there, I don't know. It's a bit annoying. It's a bit annoying.
All right, Lumi, what's worse, Midas Gaming or Necro Gaming?
Man, they're both excellent. I don't know what the hate is on any of these. I'm the CM that goes to the jungle to Midas and gets experience. I think like Cybergmatt talked about, like Midas is the only game in Dota that artificially gives you experience. So I think that's completely something that's outside the box. So I think it has its place. Maybe you have to tweak the numbers a little bit, but I think Midas right now is in one of those unfortunate trend where, like, oh my god, we saw MLG people do it. Let's all do it, and suddenly like it's just this downward spiral of more and more Midas. But I just want to say, in that one game, the grand final game 1, MLG versus or DK versus Speed Gaming, where remember we dragged out to like a 1 hour and 30-minute game. It felt like Earthshaker had 2K go. Like I was watching at the stage. I was like, all right, they're gonna win this game right now because they took down 6 towers. Earthshaker just got 2K go. He's gonna get Blink Dagger, and then they're gonna win the game. And then he went Midas Gaming. And me and effing Mad and I think Migo was watching the game together, and we just like, our jaws just dropped. Like, what the hell is going on with this game? DK eventually won the game, but damn, it was not the right decision. That's all I gotta say on that. For Necrobook, there are ways to deal with it. Like, I mean...
Run away?
I guess. There's Diffusal Blade, if you wanna, eat one. There's Chen Enchantress. So there are like kind of loopholes out there. I do believe removing Helm of Dominator's ability to take one for free, that is ultimately the correct decision, because that item just killed Necrobooks. But there are still ways to deal with it.
Okay, so what if we could Midas the Necro units again?
No.
And then that way they counter each other out.
No.
No?
There's no counter. There's no counter to Midas. The only counter to Midas is Midas, and that's not a counter. That is just 10 Midas and boring game.
I mean, Diffusal Blade is one option, but like, who builds a Diffusal Blade these days? And like, do you still take the pure damage as well? So it's like you could go and Diffusal them, and then you just like walk away with no HP again and go back to Fountain.
How about how you counter 5 Midas? Is you get 5 Midas yourself, right? What if you counter Necrobook with Necrobooks? So
no, this
you just win
like
game, right?
On Stadium or something, and
yes.
you just end up with friggin' Necros meeting in the middle and just fighting it out, and then the heroes follow up.
That's awesome.
We'll get different skins for the Necro units, so you have different types of Necro creatures fighting each other. Could be a market. Could be a market. Well, let's move on. It's enough Necro gaming talk. Lumi, you pick one here. Elder Titan, Earth Spirit, or pick one of those two.
Elder Titan and what? Like that? You just gave me one.
Which one do you want to talk about first? Elder Titan, Earth Spirit.
Earth Spirit or Elder Titan.
Right.
I guess Earth Spirit. Earth Spirit.
Go for it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Earth Spirit. So Earth Spirit right now kills you at level 2, it feels like. And I guess the nerf makes it so that he kills you around levels 8 or 9-ish. The way that Ice Rock has been nerfing things is that he doesn't nerf the hero overall. Like, the potential doesn't get nerfed. For example, if you want to talk about Lifestealer, a couple patch ago, remember his cast range for his open wounds got knocked down to, 200 or 300 right at the Larry level. But past that point, once you max open wounds, he is exactly the same Lifestealer. So this is a very similar nerf. We see it from Earth Spirit. Like, the scaling, you scale from, for example, the Boulder Smash range, knockback range, from 800 to 5, 6, 7, 800. So eventually he's going to hit that 800 mark. Eventually he's going to still be that OP Earth Spirit, but it gets a little bit longer. It takes a little bit longer to get there. So the only thing that permanently got nerfed was the magnetic grip cast range, and that's, I guess, fair.
Yeah, that was really
I think because the hero is just so powerful right now that you you know, it's okay to nerf them. Also, I think this is not even a conspiracy theory. I'm like 100% sure that when a new hero comes out, they purposely make it so powerful so people will play it, and then they, you know, tone it down.
Yeah.
Because back then when they released heroes, like I'm talking about 3-4 years ago, when they released Windrunner, she was in Valve's eyes, or in IceFrog's eyes, perfect at that point, but people never played her. Like nobody ever gave her a chance. And then they buff Shackle Shots, and now she's seen in every damn game. So I think that's the approach that IceFrog/Valve is taking. Make new heroes strong so that people will play it, and then gradually tone it down.
I think it's easier, too, to scale it back a little bit than it is to kind of scale it up. I don't know. It seems like it's a little bit easier to kind of do, like you said, scale it from, instead of just flat 800, then go like 5, 6, 7, 8. That seems to be like a little bit easier of a change. Matt, what do you think about Earth Spirit? Are you playing him much at all?
So you now have a chance of winning against him if he goes mid against you.
Okay.
It's like Lumi said, you nerf his early game a little bit, so you actually don't die at level 2 rather than, you know, and you actually might have a chance of winning against him. I don't know, it's a start. I think he may get touched again, but it's better to do things gradually rather than just crazy, I think. Especially if you're doing it frequently. Like I suppose if you asked people like 2 weeks ago if they thought, you know, 6.79C would be out before Christmas, I imagine most people would have said no. But it's good to have the immediate reaction to, you know, addressing issues in the game. So it comes timed in nicely with the ranked matchmaking. Yeah,
definitely so. We'll talk about that next. Real quick though, I want to talk about Elder Titan, because Elder Titan's one of my favorite heroes. Matt, why don't you go first on this one? And what do you think about the the vision change and the damage change for Astral Spirit? Do you think
the vision's really important?
Okay.
The damage, obviously, the damage change is really important as well. But the vision, it was so like the range on that thing, and you could just like make it walk around the world and get so much vision from it.
Yeah.
It was the utility behind that was so powerful, and also the damage it was doing was just over the top. We'll probably see him play it a bit more now, rather than being a first ban. But it all depends on which team you're going against, to be honest.
Okay. Lumi, what do you think about Elder Titan?
Yeah, the vision was like just insane in terms of like, if you're a support hero and that thing has vision of you, you're getting hit by it, and it hurts quite a bit. Keep in mind that it's not just a 20 damage nerf, because you're combining with natural order, so we're looking at 25-ish at max level. So it helps out. Every bit helps. I don't think Elder Titan was overpowered in a sense. Like when you see him just wrecking teams, he seems overpowered, but you know, he's not constant first pick or first ban. So teams like, I'm not sure whether the Elder Titan needed a big nerf, but hey, you know, I'm not complaining here.
It helps. I think he kind of fell into that pool of heroes that you could pick them and kind of stick them in any kind of lineup and still be okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess he can go off lane, he's fine. He can go mid, yeah, he's fine. Like, it felt like, yeah, it just was very versatile to pick him up, and you'd make it work. Like, oh, hey, we need Mechanism, Arcade. Okay, that's fine. He's still good. He can hold those. He can kill people. He gives us a vision. Like, he just seemed like a good, solid pick. Like, nothing tricky about him. Well, let's talk about ranked matchmaking. That's kind of the biggest thing for this patch, it seems like, for most people. That's kind of what everybody's talking about. Lumi, have you had much time to power out your 10 games yet?
I won my first game today. I can't believe it.
Nice. So how do you like the system? Do you think, like, out of all like the little rules, you got like all pick, captain's mode, captain's draft, that kind of stuff, do you think those are the right game modes to have in this?
I think the game mode's fine. Like, I don't even see the reason to not throw in all random. Like, if you want to be baller and do rank all random, hey, you could be baller and do that. I just think that as nice of having a separate mode of rank gaming, it just adds the unintended consequences of, you know, people comparing their numbers. I'm not sure if you want to do that. Hey, I'm ranked such and such, so I get to play carry. Where, you know, the inherent pubs just does not understand that support is just as important, but nobody plays support in pubs. You know, now, like, I definitely noticed the difference of unranked games where before you just play normal Dota, where now the unranked games is, hey, let's all go mass Dagon, let's all go mass Necrobook, because we could try things out now. This is the unranked mode. And there are people out there that just want to play unranked, but, you know, want to still have their normal enjoying a Dota experience. And today when I was queuing with my friend, and this happens to me too, like today I was queuing my friend, And after I ran on my hero, he's like, by the way, this is a ranked match. I was like, oh shit, all right, let's get some wards. Let's get a smoke. You know, let's smoke gang mid a minute 30 seconds or 30 seconds in. Let's do this, let's do that. Like, the tryhard mode turned on. So I guess that's kind of the one thing that Valve wanted, like, for competitive players to play competitively at the ranked matchmake. I don't know. I'm kind of like on both sides of the fences. Also, there's the fact that if you're ranked really, really high, you get like 30-minute queues. So I'm not sure if that's, you know, what people want.
That's hard though. I don't know how you get around that. Unfortunately, that's just kind of there's going to be less people up there, and it's kind of tricky. And I know that's what happens in League of Legends. People at the top have a lot longer queues than others. Matt, have you had any shot to play ranked matchmaking?
Queue times is something that's going to constantly be addressed. The systems will be they can tweak these systems on the fly on the back end.
Okay.
They'll keep doing that until they get to the stage where queue time is an important factor for them. Like, okay, the longer, you know, the quicker you get, you know, the quicker you queue someone up could potentially lead in a less accurate match. But you know, it's finding that right balance, and this system is going to be tweaked quite a bit. Like, you know, over the next, you know, period of time. And there's a couple of things I should note here that so your solo rank is separate from a party rank. It's a completely different number.
Okay.
Yep.
You may play rank matchmaking. You might solo queue it, and then run into maybe like a stack of 3 solo players, and then there's 2 party players on there. If that happens, those party players are playing in a much higher game than they would if they were in solo. Basically, if you're taking if you're taking a party with you, your rank gets increased artificially to counterbalance you know, the fact that you're playing with a friend. So you may run into parties when you're playing solo, but honestly, it'll be a balanced matchup, or it should be as close as possible. Obviously, there's always a bit of uncertainty in there, which the system takes into account. But you've got your 10 placement matches, and that's 10 separate ones in solo and 10 separate ones in party. Ranked matchmaking you can't access until you've played 150 games, I think, around 150 games.
150 it says.
Yeah, it's approximate because it's level dependent, so it depends on how long it takes to get to a certain level and stuff. And that's just basically anti-smurfing.
Okay.
And there's only all-pick captain's mode and captain's draft in order to increase the queue, decrease queue times. The more modes you add in, the more times you break the queues up, the longer queues get. It's why so if you play on ranked right now, you can choose between the holiday map or the standard map. If you play ranked, you don't get to choose. You just play in the old box standard map, and again, that's to improve queue times. So this is something that they're going to be working on constantly and tweaking as it goes along. And you will notice a big difference. Like, games will be much more serious, or they should be much more serious in the ranked mode rather than the unranked mode.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to jinx it now, but so far my experience with ranked, everybody's had mics. They've been willing to talk. The guy that was drafting actually asked, like, "Hey, I'm gonna pick, you know, these 3 heroes. Can you guys play them?" And then we actually like picked a kind of decent synergy lineup. And
is anybody Russian though?
Luckily, no one was Russian just yet.
Not yet.
Just wait. Just give it some time. All the guys are super nice and everything. So it's like, I don't want to jinx it now, but so far it's been very enjoyable. I like it. I don't want, like you said, the I don't want to call it casual queue, but the unranked queue to kind of devolve into like, you know, a flame fest. Everybody just goes Dagons and stuff like that. I think that's still an important place, you know, to try new heroes, to practice builds you're not familiar with. I know for me, like, when I play ranked, I'm going to be trying to stay in my comfort zone. I'm not just going to, like, volunteer to do whatever. Like, if I can't play a hero, like, okay, so Shadow Fiend. I suck at Shadow Fiend. I can admit that I'm not a good Shadow Fiend player. So if someone, like, corners me to play Shadow Fiend, like, if it's unranked, I'll do it because I'll make do. But if it's ranked, I'm going to say, like, hey, I probably shouldn't be playing Shadow Fiend. You know, give me something else. Maybe play Puck or something like that. So it's like, I don't know. I like it. I like the goal of it. We'll see how it works. I mean, people are shitty, so you never know what's going to happen over the next, like, 6 months or so if it kind of divulges into a bad area. But it is so far very inspiring and kind of reignited my I don't know, passion, I guess, to play more Dota and, like, actually care. Like, I got to a point where it's like, I'll just queue with friends and whatever happens, happens. But it's kind of fun to, like, kind of play at a more serious level. Matt, is there any other stuff as far as ranked matchmaking goes you'd like to bring up?
Just a case of that your rank is actually personal to yourself. Only you and your people on your friends list can see it.
Okay.
I don't know if we'll get to a stage maybe later down the line where we'll have a top 100 ladder system. I really hope we kind of do get maybe like a top 10 or something, just to end of the day, like if you're putting in a rank system, you kind of do want some kind of mini leaderboard or ladder system, to find out who is the highest ranking match players in the world. And I imagine we will maybe. It's just a case of getting through this introduction period where we need to stable things out first and see if everything's okay.
And what do you
think? It should be good. I think it'd be good. This is something that a lot of people have been asking for. Mm-hmm. A lot of people want to see if they're getting better, and they want to, they want some kind of progress to track that. So this is kind of a step in that direction.
Mm-hmm. It's a good way to go. I was gonna say, what do you think about like captain's mode and captain's draft? Do you think the current system of just whoever clicks the button the fastest is the captain is going to stay, or do you think Valve has something in the works to make that better?
I mean, there's a fair few options there. One of the easiest options is obviously make it so the highest ranked person in the party
gets nasty.
Gets the option to be it or give it up. But then again, you got to always think of what are the consequences. Is this going to cause rioting? Is someone going to get stabbed over this decision? Like, you have to think of end of the day. Right now, the way it is, if you're AFK, you're not going to be captain, and if you don't want to be captain, you're not going to be captain. So whoever clicks that button is obviously wanting to be captain. So it kind of works in a sense.
Okay. And then chat has a question. It says, what do you think about players not communicating in English in ranked games? Lumen, do you think that's something they need to keep an eye on?
I mean, they already try, right? They already put the boxes where you check.
Does it actually work?
I don't think it does.
It's a preference. It's not an. It'll always
preference.
Try
there
and
you go.
Put you. It'll always try and put you with those similar players, but I mean, it's like how do you even enforce that? Like, how do you enforce that kind of stuff? Like,
take a test
you go down the route of yeah, like it's this is why the chat wheel exists, and this is why you have all the pinging runes and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
The chat wheel is translated into every language under the sun. So if you're playing, if you're Dota 2 clients in French and someone uses the English chat wheel, you'll get the message in French. So like, yeah, it's not the best option, but I mean, it's kind of like how what else would you do?
Yeah, I'm with Matt here. Also, I know Matt touched a lot of the ranked matchmaking points. If you guys want to read like the full shebang of regular matchmaking and also ranked matchmaking, I think on the Dota 2 blog, I think Week and a Half Ago, they release like a lot of the background information of how they pair things up. For example, queue time is one of the factors. I think the biggest thing that they said is that each team has a 50% chance of winning. And, I know when you guys are here that you say, ha, that's not the case. My team never have a 50% chance of winning. I know I feel like that too. But hey, that's where a lot of the Valve Insight is kind of released. So if you guys want to take a time to read that, it's very fascinating. Yeah.
All right. Let's slowly kind of creep to wrapping this up. I don't want to go too much longer and waste too much of you guys' afternoon/evening. I guess we have to touch on it. Wraith Night. Kind of the first custom map-ish thing we see. Matt, why don't you talk kind of a bit about that? Is this something that, I know there's some people say that this is like the first step to having custom games and custom maps in Dota. Is that true?
Yeah. So the way Wraith Night has been deployed is that in your Dota 2 directory, you'll have an add-ons folder now. Okay. And that add-on is basically chucked on top of the game. So the base game loads, and then your add-on loads. And inside that add-on, you have the map, you have the scripts, you have the ability icons, all the different custom scripting files, and plus, in there, the actual game mode is programmed in LUA, which is a custom programming language, which is built on top of the engine. So it's basically your first peek at essentially custom game mode support, because if you look at that source code, you could start writing custom game modes almost. Like so there's like an AI module in there. You can look at that and you can understand how the AI for this has been programmed. Wraith Night is essentially Holdout. If you remember, in the past year we've seen loads of references to Holdout and this kind of tower defense system. This is basically the first test for that system. And it is essentially a custom game mode. It is literally plopped on top of the game. And if you look at other Valve games like Left 4 Dead, they use the same add-on system. You join a server and it's playing like a custom campaign, you would download this add-on to your, it would download to your computer, and then you would play it. This is very similar. So it's quite a big step forward in you know, the future Dota 2. We're almost at the stage where we can say we can, like, I mean, the possibilities here, like you could take this system and start working on something like Pudge Wars. You know, you could have all these custom ability icons and abilities. You choose all the, you can mess around with all sorts. So it's a big step forward.
I think the interesting thing too is real quick, let me. I think the custom games are like the biggest place for growth for Dota 2. Like I feel that is where Dota 2 is going to explode. Is because there's a lot of people who don't really want to play, you know, a competitive game. I know a lot of people that I try to get to play Dota just like flat out say I don't have an hour of uninterrupted time to sit down and play a video game. So they don't play Dota ever. But if they could jump into something for like, you know, 15 minutes, hell yeah, they're going to play it all the time. And I mean, Dota has good art style. It has good, you know, the announcers, like good quality, like all across the board. Everything is really, really high quality. And I think getting those kind of shorter, smaller, more specific game modes, like, you know, tower defense stuff, like some people hate it, yet some people just like love it and they eat it up. So that would be really, really interesting. Lumi, what were you going to say about custom stuff?
Yeah, pretty much the point that you mentioned. I think personally it actually increases the enjoyment I have for Dota, because if I'm tired of Dota, I'll just play a bit of Wraith Night, and then if I'm tired of that, I go back to Dota. Like you said, some people just don't enjoy tower defense, but in the future there is going to be, I don't know, run kitty run versions of whatever, right? Like for those of us that came from the Warcraft 3 days where we have a ton of options of, you know, custom map or StarCraft 2 or whatever, like it just makes Dota such a more enjoyable experience, because essentially you're just playing with the friends that you made over Dota with all these other games, and I think it keeps you in the game, the Dota 2 client, much longer than just Dota itself. So I'm actually looking forward to all the modes. I think, for example, Matt could tell us more in terms of like how can a game be distributed, how do we download. Obviously, I'm not sure. I don't think Valve is going to make all the custom games for us. You know, essentially, a lot of us, the community is going to be making the custom game. So
yeah, so the way the add-on system works is if it has similar implementation in Left 4 Dead, you would either have like a workshop of custom game modes, and you would just literally subscribe to a custom game mode and it would download it to your game, or you would have a built-in in-game browser and you would literally just click on that game mode, and then it depends what route they want to go down, but I hope they go down something similar to almost like Warcraft 3 in a sense, their custom map system, but maybe with a kind of like server browser type. You know, you get to look at all these custom games going on. There's so much possibility there, and I know they've been working on this for so bloody long that it's going to be really good.
I hope they go to like Warcraft 3 and not what they did with StarCraft 2.
And the fact that they use LUA is a very... So Gary's mod is primarily built on top of LUA, and you kind of know like how crazy, you know, game mods can get in Gary's mod. So if you see what they can do with that in there, it's going to be very similar to almost what we could do in Dota.
Okay, for the layman here, what is LUA and what does that mean?
LUA is just a scripting programming language. It's just basically built on top of the... It's like a lightweight scripting system built on top of the existing game. So you can... it's like a mid-level programming language. So you can... Essentially, these people will be able to make game modes in LUA, and it lets them hook directly into the game. And it's like an interface for making custom game mods for the game. Like there's I mean, just looking at Gary's mod, there's so many people with LUA experience now who have made like a whole range of things in Gary's mod. So if we get those kind of people coming over to Dota 2 and making similar things, it's, you know, it's going to be an awesome future, I think.
So it makes things a lot easier for people that want to make games.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
Matt, do you think there's any future to where, say, you make a map and you can put it on the Dota store for like 99 cents?
I mean, if they go down the workshop route of you subscribing to game mods, then sure, why not? We'll have to see how it works. There's so many. That's the thing. There's so many possibilities here right now. It's just a case of you know, if someone like a small group of people or like a team of people, like a studio almost, like go out of their way to make a whole bunch of custom assets, like a crazy game. Imagine like they made like a crazy RPG, like like Fallout in the land of Dota, and they made all these awesome assets. Then sure, why not charge for that? Okay. But we'll see.
Interesting.
We'll have to see what people do with it.
And I think Wraith Night is kind of proven. I was a non-believer. I don't know. I don't really play custom game modes. Like I just kind of stick to the base thing. So I was kind of always of the mindset of, like those people can go play that stuff. It's not a big deal. It's not that big of a thing. But I think Wraith Night, at least as far as Dota 2 goes, kind of made me a believer that this could be a possibility for Dota 2 and make it a thing. I mean, last year the Dire Tide, I don't know, I thought it was okay. I thought Frostivus last year was kind of bad. And then I didn't even play Dire Tide at all this year. So Wraith Night is kind of the first one that I've gotten into and been like, holy shit, this is actually really fun. This is actually really good and unique and different. Lumi, how much of Wraith Night have you played, and like, how are you enjoying it?
Wraith Night, I've been playing it on and off. I've been tweeting to my viewers and supporters and like, how do you beat New Game Plus Plus? I'm struggling on that Slark
It's hard.
level. Oh my god, they pounce all over me. But I have friends that share like the complete opposite views you do. Like they hate Wraith Night, but they love Dire Tide. They love the Frostivus. So I think the important point is that with these custom games coming out, they're not going to appeal to everybody. That's not the point. Like it's going to just detract you from Dota. It's going to just make you spend more time on the client and more time with your friends. So it's fine. Like I love Wraith Night personally. I've bought that 99 cents favor thing to get more fragments because I'm just spamming games all day. So Valve has made money off of me from there, but you know it's fine. Like it's fun mode, and I can't wait. After this is over, I'm playing more Wraith Night. So hey, there's that.
Very good, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, and I played quite a bit. And New Game Plus and Plus Plus is really difficult. There's actually quite
quite challenging, right?
Effort of skill. Yeah, like you need to be really like with your hero lineup. I mean, you only have a limited pool of heroes. It's like 15 or 16 heroes, but you have to be really like, how is this going to work? Like as a team, and like it's really cool. It's like you're theory crafting for an entire another game mode, and it's kind of funny, and it's I think a lot of people are enjoying it. So it's something new, and people like new things. And for the Slark level, just make sure you got a magic wand. You get 15 charges so fast.
And we all have magic wand.
Yeah,
it just
I don't
doesn't
know.
work. Yeah, it's tough.
Just don't stack up your heroes as well, because if a slaughter sees two of you standing next to each other, he'll bash you.
But yeah, that's cool. Like, you know, Matt and I are talking about a level in Wraith Night. You know, normally we'd be talking about Dota, and that's fine. But it just like increases interest overall for everything. And maybe, let's say, for example, I remember a game I love quite a bit in Warcraft 3 Ladders, Castle Fight, where you just build units and they go left and right and they send into each of the space. Like there's strategies there too. There's infos if you guys play that. Run Kitty 1, we could talk strat there too. Like it's just really fun, and I can't wait till they release, you know, more of that stuff.
It should be the next big thing. Hopefully it's in the next, I don't know. Matt, what do you say, year off?
I think sometime next year.
Okay.
It's something that requires a lot of work, a lot of integration. This is kind of like so they didn't have to go down this route like with Wraith Night. They didn't have to show us the source code or anything. They could have, you know, hid this from us, but they've gone down that route purposely so people can start looking at this and look, this is how this system works. This is how we program the AI for this. This is how the custom abilities work. You know, people can start looking at that now and start of you know, kind of thinking up some kind of ideas for their own. So it's kind of like a little tease of almost what's to come, I imagine.
All right, so let's slowly wrap this up so we can send you guys off. We like to do a fun little short game called the Tweet Audio Hot Seat. So I got questions right here prepared for both of you guys, so I hope you're ready. But yeah, our supporters, tweetaudio.com. You head over there, pick up some earbuds that are the earbuds I'm wearing here. They're the highest quality earbuds I've ever owned. They're most comfortable. They're great. They're awesome people. They have free shipping. They have lifetime warranty for their earbuds. They have 7 different styles, 6 different colors. They're just, I can't say enough good things about them. If you've listened to the show for a couple episodes now, you know I always rave about them. You get it with a mic, without a mic, and if you go over to their website right now and use the code FIRSTPICK, just all one word, FIRSTPICK, you'll get 33% off your order. You get worldwide shipping, free shipping at that. And it's actually your whole order too. So I know I said last week, great Christmas present, order like 3 or 4 earbuds for people. Use that code. You get 33% off. A little bit comes our way. It helps us keep the show going, and go support them. So Tweaked Audio Hot Seat. I got questions here. Lumi, you go first. You're on the top of the list. Are you ready? All right. First question. Most memorable Dota match you've ever casted?
LG China versus Team Liquid in TI3, where Boba, against all odds, I counted them out. Talked about Team Liquid's LAN performance in the past. They were not going to beat a juggernaut from the east, and holy shit, Boba was insane. And that is recent memory, and that's going to stay there for a long time in terms of one of the most amazing games.
All right. Which Dota hero do you never get sick of playing?
Crystal Maiden. I don't play her often, but support is my role, and I like to play CM quite a bit. I like to say that I am the inventor of jungle CM before some pros stole it and made it popular, and now everybody does it. But once the aura got buffed to doubling for CM, I just like, all right, let's spam some CM games, run that Midas. Let's get some games. She's really fun to play. Everybody thinks she's weak, but she's definitely powerful as a dual nuker. So I love playing CM.
All right. Which David is the best caster? You, Gods, or LD?
Is that even a question? Let's be real here.
All right.
Honestly, I have good things to say about everybody. For example, LD, what he's really good at is the summary, the introduction, tying all things together, being the voice, the nice voice. Gods is just a really awesome guy. Like he's the guy that will wear the Enchantress costume. He says controversial things, but he backs it up. Like, he's not afraid to. A lot of casters out there, they're afraid to say things. Like, they're afraid to be wrong. Like, he's not afraid. Like, he just says what he thinks. So, I think a lot. And shout out to Blaze. He's also a David, but I have never got a chance to cast with him, so I can't say much about him. But all the Davids are cool. The Asian one's the best, though.
All right, good. That's what I was hoping for. Which Dota hero do you hate playing against?
Earth Spirit. Next.
Yeah.
Don't need to explain.
All right. Last question. You take a Dota hero on a date. Which one is it?
CM? I don't know.
You sound. You got to say it with some passion. Put some confidence behind that.
I'm dating somebody now, so I don't know if I get in trouble.
Oh.
So, CM's a hero I love. So let's run with that. All right, CM.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. That was the question I got for you. Thank you. Hopefully they were pretty easy. All right, Matt, you ready? Next one for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Favorite land you've been to in the last year?
Well, that's kind of the international is in that year, so if it was favorite land, it's obviously going to be international.
Okay, so take that out.
But outside the international, I'd say MLG.
Okay. If you had to tell me right now why hobnobs are better than biscuits, how do you convince me?
It's purely the fact because if you have a nice cup of tea and you're dipping the hobnobs in your cup of tea, they can survive multiple dips, and they will not fall apart and break in your cup of tea and ruin your fucking day.
That's enough to convince me.
Okay.
All right. Which hero Dota do you never get sick of playing?
Venomancer.
Venomancer's a bad.
You thought I was gonna say Furion, didn't you?
That's what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So far working
Surprise.
with On Gamers, who's been the coolest person you've met, either worked with or interviewed?
Wow, shit, that's a tough question. I really love the Fnatic guys. Era and No Tail and Trixie and Hani. They're all in terms of I'd probably say Hani, because when I was in Poland I had like a fucking 3 or 4 hour ride on a bus with him, and we just talked so much pure Dota and scene stuff, and it was such a good conversation. Probably one of the best conversations I've had with someone all year.
All right. And last question. You're taking a Dota hero on a date. Who you picking?
Luna. Nova.
All right. Perfect. I like that one. Thank you, Matt, for that. Let's round this out. We'll call it a day. Lumi, shout-outs. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Luminous Inverse on my Twitter or my YouTube channel, YouTube/Luminous Inverse. I do guides, though not recently anymore. Commentaries, and just I stream as well. So shout out to the people that's been supporting me all the way, been casting for over 4 years now. If it weren't for the people that's been with me for these 4 years, I won't be here. So thank you guys.
All right.
And thanks for this opportunity, Finch.
Oh,
Appreciate
no problem.
it.
Anytime. We're always doing it. We always have an open door if you ever want to come back on. Matt, shout-outs for you.
Yeah, same thing. Thanks for having us on. And you can get me on Twitter, which is @Cyborgmatt, and Twitch TV/Cyborgmatt, and on my main site now, which is ongamers.com. We cover all the popular esports titles.
Yeah, good. You know, congratulations on doing that as well. I mean, that kind of came out of nowhere, and it's been great. I love it. I love going there. Just a great congregate for all sorts of esports stuff, just overall. So that's been really, really awesome.
Yeah. And we have a lot of nice things planned for next year in terms of improving the site and making it not look as bad.
It's all right. It's good price.
So we're going to work on the color palette and making my patch posts more easier to navigate and getting the comparison sliders back and stuff like that. So lots of things in the works, guys. Don't worry. So
far, the mobile version actually works pretty well, like viewing it on the phone. Because I do like 90% of my like content consumption on the phone, like when I'm out at work and doing shit. So it's actually nice because it's all formatted nice. Like the text is good to read. It's most sites is like, you know, you're pinching into Zoom and you're having to like follow around. It's a pain in the ass, but on Gamers, it's just like you bring it up, you just scroll down, you read it, and you're done, you move on. So that's one positive.
Yeah, I mean the site's specifically made to be really work well on mobiles. If you see like Giant Bomb's website, it's very similar. We're on the same system they're on, and GameSpot and everything. So yeah, we have some really good engineers, and we're going to make things better next year. Don't worry, guys.
All right, very cool. You guys can find me on Twitter @IndieFinch. It's INDIEFINCH. Twitch at the same place when I'm streaming. I'll probably stream some this afternoon or usually on the weekends. Also, the Twitter for the show is @FirstPickDota. If you want to find out when we're streaming live and also when the VOD and MP3 go up, I put those up probably within 24 hours is the goal usually. I'll try to get them up as fast as possible. If you're watching this and you're looking for the VODs on YouTube @Flipside Tactics, that's FLIPSID3 Tactics. We had to put a 3 instead of the E, so if you're the person that took the regular Flipside Tactics one, we want our name back. Until then, we're stuck with the damn E. But it is what it is. And also on iTunes, you just look for First Pick. It's down there as well. So big shout out to the MP3 people. Never going to forget about you guys. You guys are the best. That's about it. We'll be back next week. Hopefully Maine will be back. If not, we'll keep rolling. I know shows will be hard to do over the Christmas break. Everybody's going out of town and doing things, but we'll power through it. If not, we'll be back at the start of the year and keep things going forward. Sorry for the little bit of change of schedule for today. If you tuned in to see all of our fancy draft screens and replay breakdowns and all that kind of fancy stuff, I figured the patch was more important, and we'll have that back. That's definitely not going anywhere. Big shout out to Adrian for doing art, graphics, draft overlays, all that kind of stuff. Lantis for video cuts, and also to Rags over at Rags Official TV on YouTube for doing the intro music. And that is my spiel. Thank you to Tweaked Audio. Use the code FirstPick. Thank you to Matt, David for being here. Really, really appreciate it. Hope you guys had fun. And we'll see you guys next time with episode 6.
Your turn to pick.
Let's go. This is domination among the things you've been waiting for. Headed to the top if we make it there, we'll be taking more. There's no I in team, but something